Alright guys, Aaron here in part 2 of the bow drill. And this series I wanted to make very basic. You know, there's better people that can explain the types of woods, the techniques better, but this is just a basic series of making the bow drill. And as I stated in my first video, the bow drill to me is the least labor intensive way to make a friction fire. That's why it's very important to learn this technique and friction fire method. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my black willow drill and I'm flattening the tip that will actually be undergoing the friction. So I'm trying to flatten this. And like I said, stone tools work, but they're a little bit more time consuming to make and use with the actual bow drill. So what I'm doing is I'm flattening this to a very slight point. As you can see, there's a slight point to this. You want this kind of point, that way it locks into the bow drill, the baseboard. Without that, the drill will want to kick around and slip. Now the other end that's undergoing, we don't want any friction in the handhold. So basically this part here is undergoing friction to produce the coal. This part here is basically to stabilize the bow or the drill itself, and we don't want any sort of friction occurring in this handle. So what we'll do is we'll do a slight taper. As you can see, we want to thin this out as much as possible. And I'll start by just going around with my knife and trying to produce a very sharp point. And one thing to note, like I said, you don't want any form of grease or water on the drill part, the part that's actually going to be producing the coal. So what you'll do, and you may not have oil like rendered fat in a survival situation until you obviously have situated yourself. What you can do, and make sure there's no sweat, so you want to wipe your sweat. And this is kind of harder to do in a hotter environment. This is Texas. It's 100 degrees out right now. But there's natural oils on your nose and on your forehead. For the part up here that you don't want any friction to occur, what you'll do is you'll take and wipe your nose and get the natural oils on the bow drill. If you have a group of people, this actually helps to pass this around to build up a layer of oil to reduce the friction in the handhold. Because what happens is if there's friction in the handhold, it heats up to where it's uncomfortable and unbearable to hold, but also slows down the friction at the bottom of the drill. So that's the drill, guys. 8 to 10 inches long and 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide. And we've got the bit that's going to undergo friction with a slight point, and then we've got a tapered end that comes to a very abrupt point. And we want this to basically be the area that doesn't undergo a large amount of friction. So one thing to do, you can take a serrated flint blade, bone blade, whatever you have available. One thing to do, and I'm using a machete with my serrated back. One thing you're going to want to do, because a lot of the times the cord will slip around the drill and reduce the friction. To prevent this, you simply take, like I said, a serrated object that's going to cut the wood, and you're just going to lightly serrate the wood here. And this will help increase the grip on the drill. So we're going to do that. So we've got our drill. Our drill's good. You want to keep this off the wet ground. I'm going to put it on top of my backpack. The next component, I just grabbed the same piece. The next component of the bow drill is the handhold. Now the handhold, like the bow itself, can be made from green wood or dry wood. Preferably green wood, because green wood actually has a lot of moisture in it. Like I said in my first video, anywhere from 35 to 40% moisture content, which will help reduce friction in the handhold. This is just a branch off some tree I didn't identify. I split it, and now what I'm gonna do in the center of this split is you're gonna use your knife or your flint blade, whatever you have, and you're gonna carve a small depression, twisting your knife around to create this depression. And this will be the area for the handhold. I'm just gonna get it a bit better. Now we have our depression. This round back will be the area we grip with our hand. Like I said, it's not that hard. It's not rocket science. You just want some sort of branch you can split, create a depression, and have something to handhold. The longer the better, because you get a little bit more stability when you're holding. Okay, so we've got the handhold. The next most important part of the friction fire set is the base board. The base board is an inch to an inch and a half wide piece of wood of the same type of wood as your actual drill. That's very important. The bow, the handhold can be different material, but the actual drill and the baseboard need to be of the same dry wood material. And like I said, hardwoods, don't go for those. They will produce friction fire. It will take a lot of effort to produce a coal using that kind of like hickory and stuff like that. So what I've done is I've taken an 1.5 inch wide black willow branch. I've split it with my knife. Now I've got a flat surface. One thing you'll want to do to prepare your surface, as you can see, there's already a drill hole right there, is you're going to do the same thing like you did with your handhold. You're going to create a depression in the baseboard, just enough to where it'll grip the point of your drill. And there we go. So now I'm gonna pause this video and start the drill out.